that. And then at the end of the night, I always think, oh, I'm really glad I didn't get it. So, but not touching. There we go. Okay, so my story is about a leap of faith in terms of trusting yourself, which is something that can be hard to do sometimes. A couple years ago, I was in a long-distance relationship, had been so for about 4 years. The person lived on the other side of the state in, western North Dakota, so that's a long drive. And after 4 years, we weren't getting any closer to living in the same place, right? I have a good job here in Fargo, he likes his job there, and there was just no end in sight. And over the previous year or two, it had been increasingly difficult for me because I'm in my early 30s and I want to have kids, and it's nice if you and your partner live in the same place if you're going to have children. So this was a bit problematic for me, and so I kind of, as things got worse as it went on, because this was really bothersome to me. And I had this opportunity to take this job in Ohio, near my partner's family, right? This was like great for him. It was like half an hour from where he lived. A job in his field would be opening up relatively soon in the area, and they wanted him. And I would be taking this shitty job, I was like, I'm a professor, and I work at NDSU, which is actually a pretty cush job in my opinion. Don't tell my boss. I don't work that hard, frankly. And I would have to work a lot harder at this shitty school, basically, be teaching all the time. And also just jettison, my research career, just forget it, be gone. So I was sort of like, do I want to take this job? And part of me is like, I've invested so much in this relationship already, 4 years. And so I kind of ignored that little voice inside of me that said, no, run away, So I went on the interview for the job, and they offered it to me, right? And my partner, surprisingly, was not that excited about this opportunity. I don't know why, because change, not his thing. And so, so I went away to Costa Rica to do some research. I studied bats, and so I was in Costa Rica studying bats. And I was doing some soul searching, and I decided I cannot do this anymore. This is just not working for me. And so I went home from Costa Rica, and I drove out to western North Dakota, and I broke up with him. And he did not really see it coming that much. And in my desire to be honest and let him understand why I was doing what I was doing, I explained to him that I am breaking up with you because there's no end in sight. And so I have decided instead to buy some sperm on the internet and have a baby. If you've ever broken up with someone by telling them you've decided to buy some sperm on the internet and have a baby, it doesn't go over really well. So he didn't really process that well, And I left, I had the messy sort of breakup thing. It wasn't that bad, but it was a couple days there and just badness. And but so that's a big thing, right? To decide, I'm I have a mediocre salary, I'm a professor. If you think professors make a lot of money, you're extremely wrong. And so I kind of was like, okay, I feel in my gut that I want to do this, that I am a strong enough person to get inseminated and have a kid without a partner, But this involves a break in societal norms, right? This is a pretty different sort of thing to do. And just deciding that you're not gonna give a fuck what other people think, right? And so I decided to go forth with this. And as a good pragmatic scientist, I thought, I'll give myself 3 months to make sure that I am making the right decision, right? And so, but I went to the doctor, and if you've ever gone to a reproductive endocrinologist, the first time you go, they take 10 pints of your blood, and you want to pass out because they do 1,000 tests on you. And one of the tests they do is it sort of gives you an idea of your egg reserve, right? And the doctor called me back a couple days later, and she was like, your number came back very low. So this doesn't mean that you can't have kids, but waiting 3 months would be okay, but don't wait a year. And so at that, the pragmatic scientist went out the window, and I said, screw it, I'm just gonna go, right? And so, click, 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 I found someone I liked on the internet, I ordered up the sperm, and the next time, you know, I was ovulating, I went into the doctor, right? And it was also a rather surreal experience because as a professor, you run into students that you know pretty regularly. And it wasn't my student who was doing the inseminating of me, but it was one of my colleagues' students. And as she's using this syringe to inject sperm into my uterus, she's telling me about the biology class she took with my colleague and how much she enjoyed it. And, you know, and I'm just like, this is really weird, you know? But, so, and I was very lucky. I got pregnant on the first time. And I have a little boy named Everett. He is going to be 9 months old. And, yeah, but in a span of a year, I had pretty big changes in a year because I went from being in this long-term relationship where I was kind of an idol, and then I ended that. I bought a car, because I have a grown-up car if I was going to have a kid. I bought a house because I couldn't live in my crappy rental house anymore, and I had a baby. And so I kind of felt that, I knew in my gut that I wanted to do this and I could do it, but it was a leap of faith, I felt, because I had to trust myself that I could actually do it. And so far, all has worked out for the best. And the amazing thing is that everyone around me was so supportive. Because again, when you tell people, I'm going to buy some sperm on the internet and have a baby, you think some people are going to be like, stop. That is a bad idea. But the only person who really said that was the guy that I broke up with. And so, ultimately, I'm very lucky because I have an amazing community of people here in Fargo. But that's my story.